Easiest question of the week. Is it MLB or the MLB when you're talking?
Depends on how I use it.
Well, okay. When you say,
different.
MLB really needs to fix this, or is it the MLB really needs to fix this?
No, it's MLB needs to fix this.
Right.
It's Major League Baseball.
It's
not the Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is what it's called.
People get confused because, in the NBA, instead of NBA needs to fix this, people would be like, the NBA needs to fix this. So it's causing a stir, okay?
And I
just felt like today was the day.
It's cringy. Causing a stir where?
It's cringy on social media when someone says the MLB, and we have a company policy. It's probably our only one that you say MLB, not the MLB. For example, I heard some writers talking the other day about the New Yorker. I guess it's magazine or whatever.
Yorker, though.
Right, but the New Yorker in their articles calls it the MLB. I looked just to prove.
Needs to fix this? No, it's Major League Baseball needs to fix this.
They said an elbow injury epidemic has become an existential threat to the sport, prompting the MLB to brainstorm new solutions, such as the use of a heavier ball.
No, it should be prompting MLB, prompting Major League Baseball.
Agreed.
Major League Baseball.
And it's something that I feel like
for some reason, for NFL, it makes more sense, the National Football League, versus if you're going to say prompting National Football League, it doesn't make sense. Prompting the National Football League. But with MLB, it's like prompting Major League Baseball.
Totally agree. I think almost everyone within our sport who's like on the day-to-day grind, Kratz, agrees. But there is a battle from others on social media and others in publications that just cover life.
When people say, "Did you make the MLB?" It's like somebody saying like, "Oh, are you going to get drafted out of AAA to the MLB?" Oh, it is.
But see for me that makes more sense though. Are you going to make the MLB because that's a different context? You're saying, are you going to make the MLB because people are like, "Oh, you're going to make the MLB." Whereas if I said I'm going to make Major League Baseball, I would say I'm going to make MLB.
And also you would just be like, are you going to make the bigs, the majors?
Yeah, but it's different context too. There's times where I think the is appropriate, but the way New Yorker wrote it was wrong.
Wrong. It's cringy the way they wrote it. And
yeah, because it doesn't work. And you would think they would have, people that would fact check them, spell check them, editorialize.
Pretty important place. So yes, I'm calling them out just because I want them to switch it. There's many writers with The Athletic who seem to be like our buddies, right? They come on our show all the time and they are very against it, most of them. We can ask Ken later. Yeah.
Ask Ken.
Yeah, we will ask Ken
But again,
later.
it depends on the context.
But the one I just mentioned,
I made it to MLB. Like if someone asked me, "Hey, did you ever play baseball?" Yes, I played. I'd say, yeah, I played in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Not in the Major League Baseball.
We're on the same page here.
I mean, there are times, I guess, where the would fit, but it's not very often.
But there is a group of people that is saying, like, the MLB needs to do something about this. And it's like, no, they don't.
It sounds like
MLB.
The police, which sometimes people think they are, and they're not.
And I think it's just people that maybe like the NBA or the NFL, and they're trying to bring to MLB. This sounds stupid, but it's a thing, and you see it all the time online. And if
I'm going to have to start calling people out now.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure we had never talked about it on the show. So let's charge the mound.
Charging the mound.
Hey, we did a playback game last night. We covered the Mets and the Phillies. It's a great game. It was fun. I mean, you had Soto almost hitting a 3-run homer. It just went foul. We called it like it was fair. They played it like it was fair initially. It was upper tank shot. Would have made it 5-0. That went away. Game stayed close for a while. Kratz, did you have fun? You finally got the invite to the playback all-cast game that we did. And the Phillies actually did what they're doing worse than any other facet of the game right now. Their bullpen is a problem, and it technically was a problem again last night. Lindor hit the home run that proved to be the difference.
Technically, even though Nola gets garnered with those 2 of those 3 runs, but I mean, it was legitimately the script that was written. Nola looked like he was going to struggle a little bit, makes it into the 7th. The bullpen for the Phillies struggles a little bit, giving up his runs and one more. Mets did awesome. The Phillies couldn't hit starting pitching. And then the bullpen comes in. Phillies get a few runs off the Mets bullpen. Diaz closes it out. It was like the exact script of what you would think was going to happen in the game.
It's a good game. Had a good vibe to it.
I didn't watch. So I'm glad you guys had fun. I'm not going to lie. I saw the score. I saw Lindor had 2 homers and the Phillies almost came back and Nick Castellanos went over. So there's hope. Just
to clarify, if anyone in baseball is an analyst and says they watched every game, they are a massive liar.
No, I was at my son had a game last night at 7:00, so I was checking scores.
Either way, I'm saying you can't watch every game.
Listen,
15 games tonight.
No, I mean I have DirecTV and they show 8 at a time.
Sure,
and that's the best you can do. Right? They have the whatever extra inning, whatever it's called, package where you can at least you have 8 on. Yeah, you can't see every play of every game, but you can have an idea of what's happening.
Yep.
And I'll have the sound on one of them. Like I have the Giants and the Rangers this weekend, so I'll try to listen to the Rangers before the Giants. Right, to get a little bit of scoop on what's happening with the teams. But other than that, it's, listen, I looked the score. I saw Lindor hit 2 homers. I mean, everyone's all over Nola for not being great again. McGill pitched really well, and the Phillies almost came back. And then I checked my bet, and Castellanos didn't do anything. So,
which was wild. Everyone was waiting for it. It didn't happen.
I mean, on Twitter, it was unbelievable.
Part of the playback. The playback, like, very few people, I don't think, go to people's houses to, like, watch a game together. That's what it felt like. It felt like you were going to somebody's house, hanging out, watching a game. Like, yeah, we were watching it. Yeah, we were having some comments about the game, but it was just watching baseball with some dudes. Mike Cameron, Ruben Amaro was on. My guy Scotty was on there. It was beautiful.
It was fun. What do we think about the Mets? Are we talking enough about the Mets? 16-7, 10-1 at home. Lindor looks really good.
Alonso looks good.
Whew, he looks.
And Soto
really
hasn't even really gotten going yet. It's kind of funny. My mom sat down next to me in my son's game last night and says, "Man, how about Juan Soto? He's not doing so good." I'm like, "He's doing fine. He's got an 850 OPS. But people expect him to hit 100 homers, and because he signed that contract, that's why it's. Listen, expectations are a bitch. Okay, that's what we used to always joke that like, don't hit 30 homers. Because if you hit 30 homers, and they expect you to hit 30 homers every year, right? Don't drive in 120 because then every year they expect you to drive in 120. Don't win a Cy Young your first couple of years because they expect you to win a Cy Young every year. Expectations are a bitch, man.
But also know his game, right?
I understand. It was
for most fans, do you know his game?
His game is on base.
His game is revolving around the ability to get on base. Really better than almost anyone, right? Almost every night when you watch him, he will have those takes where you're like, damn, right? The borderline takes where it is so slightly off the zone. And sometimes he loses on those takes, right? But he knows his zone. So you better be in the zone or he is going to just take first base, which is very similar to how Joey Votto was in his prime.
I mean, let's be honest. Last night, he looked off balance. The only good swing he had was the home run foul that looked like it was going to be a 3-run dinger. And that was out of character for him because he went up top. He went above the zone swinging at that ball. Obviously, he got on top of it and freaking waffled it. But he's a little off balance, but he's elite. What he does is elite. If fans are expecting and personalities on the radio are expecting him to do something that he's not able to, you're going to be disappointed for 15 years. Appreciate what he does and know that nobody in the game is doing what he's doing outside of an Aaron Judge, outside of a Shohei Ohtani. You know, they're doing their things at an elite level.
I want to do a comparison with you real quick, AJ, of the bullpens. When you look on paper, you're like, oh, they look like they should be in a pretty similar spot. The Mets bullpen has been nails. Incredible. Right? Everyone really in there.
David Stern's bullpen.
Diaz is probably the biggest question mark right now, but I'm not too
David
concerned
Stern's bullpen is usually pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So you look at Reed Garrett, Jose Butto.
Well, first of all, Reed Garrett was good last year for him.
Yes, but he looks even better now.
Okay.
So now on the other side, the Phillies have a bottom 3 bullpen ERA, and the last 3 games now has been a problem for them. They almost blew a 7-run lead on Saturday. They gave up a 2-run lead in the 8th inning on Sunday, and then yesterday, I mean, I know it goes to Nola's ledger, but the bullpen didn't have his back, and so Lindor hits the homer, and they end up losing the game by a run.
Yeah. But listen, I mean, Minter's really good for a long time. Stanek's been good if they put him in the right role. Danny Young's coming up and done some stuff for him. Reed Garrett was good for him last year. Buto was good for him last year. I mean, Diaz, when he's right, is one of the best closers in baseball. I mean, I know it's a roller coaster ride all the time, but he's pretty good when he's right, So, I mean, Brazaban is a kind of a find for him, but David Stearns knows how to put together a bullpen. He did it for years in Milwaukee, and as long as their starters keep giving them length, like they have been, McGill, Holmes, Senga, all these guys are giving them length, they're not going to have to pitch as much, and they're going to be fine. The question is if somebody gets hurt for the Mets, what happens?
Sure. Well, they've got a couple injuries now on the starting side, and Minaya will be back at some point. Montas should be back at some point.
No.
I mean, you're looking for sustained success. Can the Mets sustain the success that they had? I don't see why not, because Stearns always filled in with the DFA bullpen when he was in Milwaukee. Like, he was not afraid of just finding dudes, running them out there. Will that give him success in the playoffs? No idea. Usually you need those elite guys in the playoffs. Right now, their bullpen is elite. The Phillies bullpen right now, obviously they're doing awful, but they had the least amount. I don't know if you guys said this when I was off. They had the least amount of innings pitched of any bullpen in the game. To me, that bodes well for the fact that you're gonna have it turn around. You're gonna have water level out. Now, right now, it's pretty awful. The man they just showed there, Jordan Romano, hasn't been good. Like, there's times when these guys just have been out there and gotten waffled, and you hope it turns around, but you also look at the offseason and you go, there were some dudes available, and the Phillies didn't go after any of them. Kirby Yates was available. This was a team I thought was going to maybe re-sign Carlos Estevez. I think they have a closer in Alvarado. They lost Hoffman. Like, I think they were a little thin going after free agents. How many they really pursued? I felt like there was a few that was out there and didn't get it done.
Yep. And then you're going to have to pay for it with prospects at the trade deadline, which hurts when you're a good team every year and you're picking towards the back of the draft. That's part of why the Dodgers went off this offseason. Andrew Friedman's like, I don't want to keep trading prospects away to try and get a guy that I could just get before the season starts. Not everyone has that luxury. I get it. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Thoughts on Mets or Phillies if you're catching this later, drop it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll be right back. If you have a question for Ken Rosenthal, maybe we'll ask it. Let's talk Hungry Root, because if you're trying to get some shopping done for the fam, maybe you're looking for dinner, salad kits, smoothies. They even have supplements, snacks, the whole deal. We went over the snacks yesterday. I think we ran out of time. What was it, yesterday? But what did you make?
I made pesto ravioli with chicken today from Hungry Root.
Nice.
I also had a bagel that they sent me from Hungry Root with some for breakfast with some creamy cheese.
There you go.
So I've had a full Hungry Root day.
Wow, look at you.
Eggs. They can't send eggs, but I made eggs. And
you added eggs to the table. I actually think they can.
I don't know.
I
haven't gotten eggs because I can just get them from the grocery
Sure.
store. So it's just easy. But when you do the order for them, they kind of mix and match. But I had pesto raviolis, spinach raviolis with chicken for lunch just now. It's great.
There you go. So if you want to be like AJ and get the personal shopping done, then go to hungryroot.com/FT, use code FT. So you can take advantage of the exclusive offer here, hungryroot.com/FT, code FT to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/FT, and the code is FT. Okay, let's get to a less appetizing photo. You got a scraggly beard going here.
I like that. I love Nate.
Yes.
He's great.
Is his name Nate?
Yeah.
So he's the bat boy in the visiting dugout, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the Guardians. And he is back and better than ever. Because what was it, last year or the year before, that they were talking about it on the broadcast? And they're like, hey, clean it up. And he's like, no.
And they made him tuck his hair in.
into the helmet.
Into his helmet, remember? And now, because the Yankees have facial hair policy, he's got a beard. I like it. I like when Nate's doing it. He's playing along. He's playing along.
He looks like a rocker.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's good.
I think he actually is. I think he's actually in a band. I remember reading about that when he showed up last time.
Good for him.
He's great. By the way, the visiting clubhouse in Cleveland with Willie Jenks, the head guy, and a lot of the guys they have there is one of the best. Yeah. They do a great job with not a great space. I mean, there was dudes that would spend hours playing Buck Hunter in there forever. Buck Hunter and Golden Tee.
Right, because they've got the arcade games. Yes.
They upgraded.
It was 24/7. They're better now, but it's better. I haven't been there this year, so I can't wait to see.
The video. No, they upgraded the video game. Now they have one of those ones that has like 1,000 games on it. So you can play all of them, not just Buck Hunter and Golden Tee.
All right, let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. A lot of great topics covered on Fair Territory yesterday, by the way, that I encourage you to check out.
Before you even start, let's just ask the question that America wants to know. Ken.
Oh, yeah.
Is it MLB or the MLB?
This is not even a question. MLB, not the MLB.
Thank you.
In fact, I will have this to share with you. One of my 3 children, who should not be named, called it the MLB once, and there was some discipline administered.
Ken, I am calling child services on you right now. Child services.
I didn't say it
Ken.
was physical discipline. I just said
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That sounds like child services need to be called on Ken.
Yeah, what are you going to say? And they're going to say, wait, they said what? The MLB?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
So then why is it the NFL, the NBA, and why is it not the MLB? I'm with you, Ken. I think it's MLB.
I don't know the answer to that, AJ. I haven't given it much thought, believe it or not.
I believe that.
All I can tell you, Ken, is many of your colleagues are really angry about this.
I know that.
Because they're seeing it more frequently in the national stratosphere, other publications, social media. It's just starting to kind of creep over. And for so long, people would be like, no, this is not what we say, or you are new to watching our league or being a fan of our league. So I just wanted to make sure we did a PSA, because we haven't talked about it on this show for 2 years.
I'll just say one thing, and this might be a guess as to why it's not the MLB as opposed to the National Football League. NFL, NBA, NHL, those acronyms all end in the league, right? Major League Baseball, it's Major League Baseball. That makes it a little odd sounding when you say the Major League Baseball. It sounds more natural to say the National Football League. So maybe that's it. And my colleagues do get upset about this from time to time. I notice it on X, even in conversation, but we all have better things to worry about.
You finally agree with me, Ken. That's exactly what I said.
We're on this one together, AJ. We're good.
It doesn't make any sense to say the Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why do people say the Ohio State University? No one cares. You went to Ohio State. Stop.
Right.
Stop trying to make yourself cooler than
What about
you
the U?
think you are. The U is just dumb. Like, I mean, whose thing is like this? I mean, come on, let's be serious.
It's not like that.
It's not a
like
U.
this.
It's more like a, I don't know what you call it.
You're doing it wrong. All right.
That was an M.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely not a U. But
And the U is not even relevant anymore. So let's continue.
I'm not gonna disagree
Right,
with
let's
that.
not
We're on
get
the
the
same
Florida
page there.
boy going here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to biz
National
here.
champs, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball school now.
Ken, you were just covering the Rangers and the Dodgers this past weekend. I want to start with the Dodgers, what I will call pitching injury epidemic. I do think still exists here. They spoke last year about how they were going to spend the offseason or part of the offseason figuring out how they can do this better. Do you feel like there are any changes within the organization? Because, we had the Blake Trinan news, and there's still plenty of guys that are hurt for them already.
It seems to me what they were talking about then was more at the minor league level and trying to get guys in a better place physically so they can sustain themselves and stay healthy. I don't know that they made changes at the major league level. All teams make tweaks in the offseason. That I expect would have happened. But I haven't asked specifically if they've changed things. And clearly, we need to remember here, they're coming off a deep run in the postseason. Whenever a team does this, the Dodgers or anyone else, there is a toll to pay the next season. Sometimes you'll see pitchers not as effective. Sometimes you'll see them get hurt. Blake Trinan was used heavily in the postseason, right? So it's not exactly a shock that he's down for a little bit. Glasnow is always hurt. When they acquired him, he was a guy who had that reputation, and little has changed to adjust that reputation. So I don't know that it's anything abnormal that's going on with them right now. It's merely a continuation of what has happened in the past, but with the difference being they went so deep in the postseason, you have to expect a little bit of these kinds of problems to occur.
Ken, a little bit of a different topic than the Dodgers, who just seem to figure everything out. The Braves. What happened with the Braves? Has there been anything else from the Acuna, Snitker? Have they had a conversation that you know of? Has there been any talk? Because I just thought it was crazy that Acuna would say this, at all, but especially on Twitter, deleted, whatever. But has there been any conversations about this from the Braves or each other?
I don't know that they've talked to each other yet. I imagine they will. And as I wrote yesterday, everybody involved should have known better. Kelenic should have run, Snitker should have benched him, and Acuna should have dealt with this privately rather than in public forum, such as X. That said, as I wrote also, Acuna had a point. And I know that he and Inciarte and Ozuna had previously not run hard, and that's what led to their benchings, where Kelenic has not been that kind of guy, that have not had that problem with him. It still was a bad look not to bench him in that situation. Keep in mind, they hadn't had a 2-game winning streak all year at that point. Games tied. He gets thrown out at second base. So from that perspective, I thought Snitker missed an opportunity there to make an example of a player who might not even be with them once Acuna returns. And he did not take it. And with that, he left himself open to that kind of question from Acuna, which we can all agree was probably not the right thing to do publicly on Acuna's part, but I understood where that was coming from.
I got a little bit roasted in the chat because I said, should we loosen the social media during the game ban in Major League Baseball? We want more connection to players. Should Major League Baseball loosen that to some extent, or should it just be a cold blanket no?
Well, this relates more to Jazz Chisholm Jr.'s tweet the other day about the umpire. And honestly, Erik, in my opinion, they should not loosen it. And the reason I say that is a player's focus during a game should be on the game. And hey, you've heard teams like the Angels talk about banning phones in the clubhouse because it's deteriorating, or detracting, I should say, from players' focus. During a game, it's not the place to be tweeting, I don't think. And I can see where the league could loosen it, but my goodness, I would imagine you want your players more focused than looking at X 1 minute, looking at Instagram another, and then maybe looking up at the field and seeing what's going on. I don't know that that's a great look.
Could be exciting for us, though, to talk about. But anyway, let's go to
we have
Steinbrenner
a lot of
Field.
other exciting things to talk about without that kind of thing going on.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's go to Steinbrenner Field. We saw that the fair polls came up a little short, and that was something that nobody probably even really thought that much about when they moved in. What else are we missing that is going to come into play in a negative way in these minor league parks, Steinbrenner or at Sutter Field?
The one thing that we haven't discussed much, but certainly is a factor in a one-deck stadium, is wind. There is greater wind, perhaps, in these stadiums. Certainly the greater potential for wind being a factor. We've seen that at times at Steinbrenner Field, and it can come into play later in the season. And certainly with both parks also, speaking of atmospheric conditions, it's going to get warm in the summer months in both places. So I'm anxiously awaiting to see how these things play out. It's really too soon to form a judgment one way or the other. We all know it's not an ideal circumstance. One of these circumstances is self-inflicted. That would be the Sacramento A's. And the other is simply the result of natural disaster. The hurricane that, of course, blew the roof off Tropicana Field. So you can't compare them in that regard. And it's unfortunate that this has happened at all, that baseball has to be playing in minor league parks. But again, we'll just have to see how this all evolves over time. And my greater concern really is for the A's, because the the Rays are going to move back to Tropicana Field at some point. It certainly appears that way. Who knows how long the A's are going to be in Sutter Field? We hear 3 years. That's their goal. They still haven't broken ground yet in Vegas. Could be 4 years. That is not a healthy thing for the sport. I am sorry. It is not healthy to have a team playing in a minor league park for even 3 years, much less 4.
Ken, on this rule, why can't we get cameras at every major league park right down the line that are just stationary cameras? I know it wouldn't be that big of a cost. You don't need anyone manning them. Why can't we just have a camera on each line that just sits there? I mean, you could put it on the whatever you need to. You put it on the side, one of the sides of the facade of the stadium, whatever. It doesn't have to be someone standing there holding it. Just put a camera down the line, and we should be able to figure that. You could take the telestrator and draw a straight line up from the foul pole and say it was fair or foul. I just don't understand. This could be the easiest solution the Major League Baseball has ever had. Didn't that sound stupid, by the way?
AJ, I hadn't thought of that, but sure, that would be a solution. It doesn't seem to be that kind of costly solution. It's not going to cost you that much money, as you said. I don't know why they don't do that. I haven't asked why they don't do that, but certainly in the future, at those ballparks in particular, with the shorter foul poles, that would be one way to get around what's going on. Now, let's point out, too, that the foul pole at Steinbrenner Field, the two of them, they are within the boundaries of what MLB wants, which is a 30-foot high foul pole. That's the minimum, and they're at 30 feet. But in a larger stadium with 3 decks, you have a 90-foot foul pole. And if there had been a 90-foot foul pole at Steinbrenner Field the other day, I believe Aaron Judge would have had a home run.
Do we feel like this has to be collectively bargained, or can it be collectively bargained that, you know what, we're not playing at minor league parks barring a natural disaster?
I would expect, Erik, that in the next round of collective bargaining negotiations, this is going to be a topic. Now, keep in mind, the Players Association agreed to what's going on here, certainly in both situations. And you can say in some ways they had no choice, and certainly accommodations were made for players to ensure that the facilities were as up to major league quality as humanly possible. But I would expect, yes, that in the next CBA, this is something the union will want to look at, because let's face it, it's not an ideal situation. And it's not an ideal situation for many reasons, but let's look at it solely from a player's perspective. Are you able to achieve as a player your full optimal ability playing in one of these places where you don't have the facilities and the different areas of improvement that you could pursue in bigger parks, in major league parks, in places that have all kinds of resources available to players? That would be a concern of mine as a union.
Ken, I want to take us to the Red Sox. I know you talked for a moment about Tristan Casas yesterday on Fair Territory, so people can check that out. But just getting some questions here in the chat about him and also about Yoshida and just how you see their roster playing out over time if health doesn't make things change automatically.
It's a good question, obviously. And let's start by saying there's never a problem when you have too many good players. And that could be where the Red Sox are headed with Roman Anthony coming, or eventually Marcelo Mayer as well. But it seems to me, as far as the Casas-Yoshida question is concerned, at some point there is going to need to be a decision. And one of those guys is probably not going to be on the roster. Now, I wrote in the offseason, and I had some fun with this yesterday. I wrote a column saying, picture Alex Bregman at third base and picture Tristan Casas getting traded to the Mariners for one of their pitchers. And I heard from a number of members of Red Sox Nation telling me, well, I won't even say what they said. But that said, they signed Bregman, of course, and they still have this question with Casas, at least, as long as Devers is a DH too, because keep in mind, he might want to get back to the field at some point. So these are issues that might resolve on their own, might require the team to resolve them in some fashion. But yeah, they have a question with all of these guys. There's too many of them to fit on one roster. It's a good thing, but ultimately it's going to lead to some kind of move one way or the other.
Ken, we are 20-plus games into the season. Can you give us your villain for the 2025 season so far?
That would be John Fisher. And for all the reasons we just stated, he is the Oakland A's owner. They are playing in a minor league park. They are playing in a minor league park because of the way things evolved in Oakland. And you can blame people all you want. And listen, there's plenty of blame, I'm sure, to go around on both sides. But this whole thing should never have happened. There is not an excuse for a major league team to be stuck at a minor league park for this length of time. And I don't know why the league allowed it to happen. They would blame Oakland as they have in the past. That's fine. But still, this was a situation that to me should have been avoided. So John Fisher would be the guy. He's the guy that we named the Dork of the Week after on Fair Territory. So how am I going to go with anybody else?
All right. Well, Ken, you can't say me. You can't say me. So who's your hero so far besides me? We all know it's me. So besides me.
Superhero? Well, there's some great athletes in the game right now. We all know that. Bobby Witt Jr., Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, right down the list. But the guy that stands out to me and is having so far an MVP season is Fernando Tatis Jr. And what he can do on a baseball field is just so remarkable and so cool to watch on a daily basis. We've seen him now improve his plate discipline. He's one of the great right fielders in the game. Didn't come up as a right fielder, learned that position. Offensively, of course, he's a freak. So I would say right now, because of what he has done so far for the Padres, who have been one of the great stories of the early season, I would go with him. Ellie De La Cruz would be a close second because of course, the things he can do on a baseball field. But Tatis actually kind of plays like a superhero out there.
Did you see that story or I don't know, or quote about how this offseason Tatis was working with his dad and he's like, you're not a complete hitter, something along those lines because you don't have the right approach to get on base more consistently?
I did see that. Buster Olney from ESPN reported that. I guess in his reporting for the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast, he collected that anecdote, and it's a really good one. And it just speaks to a player of his caliber still needing to improve, at least in his father's estimation. And Tatis Jr. evidently took it to heart, and we've seen a dramatic improvement along those lines. So good for him, man. And again, just what he is doing for that team, which has a lot of injuries right now, from Jackson Merrill to Cronenworth to, of course, Arias, who just got hurt. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Musgrove's out for the whole year. Yu Darvish is out. They're missing a lot.
Yeah. Kim, I want to know, you brought it up about Arias. Do you think there'll be a day, and I don't want this to say yes, I don't want yes to be your answer, so don't say yes. Do you think we'll see a time where it's like college where they do the two bases to try? Because I don't think that would have avoided either Rowdy Tellez or the Luis Arias situation, but that's something they're going to more and more in college. They're trying in lower high school and little leagues. Do you think that's something that Major League Baseball would implement at some point?
I don't see it, AJ. And as frightening as that injury was, and at times, as we've seen, things can happen at first base in particular, I don't see that happening. And you can just look at the frequency of these plays. We see maybe 1 or 2 or 3 a year. I don't know that that's enough to warrant a rule change. Now, you could say the Buster Posey play, yes, that was one that certainly warranted a rule change, and there weren't that many collisions that resulted in those kinds of injuries. But to me, that was a much more obvious choice. So I don't know that we'll ever see what you're describing now.
You want it real quick, AJ?
Buster Posey rule's stupid. I'll say it.
No, not that. But do you want the two base thing?
No.
You MLB players?
No. Kratz wants it? No. I don't want the Buster Posey rule. I don't want the Buster Posey rule. I don't want the Chase Utley rule. Let's let him get some contact, Ken. We can touch each other in this league, okay? It's okay to run a dude over every once in a while.
Doesn't it get concussion?
AJ, I love your 1950s approach, but when you're talking about salaries being where they are and player safety being the issue that it is, I think both rules have had a positive effect without detracting from the game.
I now have my 2 snowflakes of the week, Scott and Ken. So now we go.
That's fine, AJ.
I'm going to have to do a power ranking between Ken and Scott on snowflake ability.
I prefer anti-concussion.
AJ, bring all the name calling you want. Bring it every.
It wasn't name calling. It wasn't name calling.
Snowflake is a name call.
No, it's not.
It's a name call. Yeah. He's obsessed. It's like his word of the week, Ken. So we're just letting him ride it out.
I'm glad he has one.
I haven't seen a snowflake in a long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't snow in Florida.
Because you live in
I
Florida.
wore an elf shirt
That's
for you
right.
yesterday.
It doesn't snow very often here.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we're trying to, limit the concussions. I do understand that part. So not everyone's as big as strong as AJ and Kratz. So anyway, Ken, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll catch you later this week.
Thanks, guys.
Fair territory from yesterday. You can catch Ken on the Dodgers, on Ronald Acuna Jr., and many other topics. He gets into the Tristan Casas conversation a little bit too with a fan question. So go check it out wherever you get your shows or your podcast. What are you smiling at?
I'm laughing. Someone named Emma fired Scott is not a snowflake in the chat. Oh, we've done it now. We have done it now. We have done it now.
There's more to that story. All right, Kratz. Gotta feed the pup. The pup's name is Bella. It's a real pup. And what does Bella want?
I have no freaking idea. I have no idea. You can't sit there and go and try out all the different dog foods. And if I take Bella into the store and I'm like, here, try this one. Which one do you like the best? She's gonna swipe all 4 kinds. Then she's going to go find a napkin and tear that up because that had some kind of peanut butter on it or something. So I'm going to let Spot and Tango figure out what is the best for her by putting in it's 30 to 60 seconds of information about Bella. They send it to me. It's super easy. And when I put it in her bowl, he gone. She chomps it.
There you go. I mean, if you want the good stuff, well, there's little Penelope. Superstar. It's 40% less expensive than frozen food made with 100% whole, fresh ingredients like real USDA meats, fruits, and veggies. Go check it out. Upgrade your pet's bowl with Spot and Tango Unkibble. For a limited time, go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul. Code FOUL for 50% off your first order. Again, the code is very difficult. It's FOUL. Hey, just get into another game for a minute here. The last one of the night was watching the Giants and Brewers. I also had a bet on that game, which I lost. We'll get to that later. But Caleb Durbin hit his first big league homer. Remember, he was the other side of the Devin Williams trade, and Nestor Cortez. And your boy Wilmer Flores went long again.
He's on fire.
He is on freaking fire.
Is he going to make the All-Star game?
At this rate, I mean, if he keeps this up, no doubt. I mean, I don't know if he's going to, but how old is Wilmer Flores?
He's going to be 37.
33.
33.
Oh, younger than I thought.
33.
He got called up young.
He must have, because, geez.
You know what's weird? He's a negative 0.1 win war right now
this
and
year?
a 95 OPS plus. And I feel like every time I turn on a game, he's hitting a clutch homer.
He's driving in an RBI, big RBI.
He's got 6 homers, 203 average, 250 on base.
It's a 250 on base.
I'll take him. All right.
4 of his 6 homers are either go ahead or game tying home runs after the 5th inning, something like that.
Doesn't matter, Kratz. You know why? Because that counts the same as when you hit one when you're up 15-0. It's
True.
the same. Counts the same in their eyes.
Or
I promise 24-2.
24-2 with a position player pitching. In the weeds we go. All right, so we're going to play the superhero villain game. AJ, you're going to give us some superheroes and some villains so far in the first month of the 2025 season. You want to go heroes first?
Yeah, let's go heroes first. I'm going heroes. First of all, I'm going Hunter Brown. 24 straight scoreless innings. Sneaky Cy Young Award winner, possibly for Hunter Brown. I mean, he is off to a great start. He dealt again last night, and I just love this guy. I think he's awesome. He's figured it out, and it's good for him. And then the other one I'm going for is, I don't want to say his name wrong, so Lee from the Giants.
Jung-Hoo Lee.
Yep. Grandson of the Wind, right?
I got to look
Is he son of the wind or grandson of the wind? But this dude remember when the Giants signed him last year and he got hurt and people were like, what's he going to be? But Jung-Hoo Lee has been a stud for them this year. Look at his numbers. He's hitting homers. He's playing great center field. He can run. He's exciting. And look at that. I mean, that's a great colors too, by the way. What a color by producer lady to nail it. She knows what heroes are made of in orange and blue. Now, for villains of the week, one, minor league ballparks, okay? Like, let's be serious here. Minor league ballparks, let's get rid of them. I know the Tampa situation was unfortunate, but that's the problem. That's the problem right there is Sacramento. It's a problem. It's a problem, and it's not fair, and it sucks. And the Rays, thank you, Yankees, for letting them do it, as you see the big sign. But there's already been problems in both of them. It's a pain in the butt. It sucks. So that's one. And then the other one is, we talked about it last week, the Marlins calling pitches for their catchers. I had some talks last night with some scouts at a game, and they were like, I saw what you said, and we totally agree with you. Like, let the players play. Let the players call the game. The players are back there. I talked to a former major league pitcher last night, and he was a former college coach, and he said, I can't see what's going on from the side. I'm going to let my catchers call. They can see the movement. They can see the tunneling, how it's coming out of their hands. So these are my villains of the week. Minor league parks, and then apparently, I mean, the Marlins, with some of the things they're done.
Innovative Marlins trying to take your job away.
I actually talked to somebody.
Job.
I talked to somebody in the decision-making with the Marlins. You know what one of the reasonings is because they want to make sure all of the pitchers get their specific pitches in. Their explanation was to get all their pitches in. We want this guy to throw 20% changeups. They'll make sure they have a little checklist over there. Got all the changeups in. Okay, good. Next.
So results then don't matter. Because results don't matter then, because the ultimate goal is to try to win the games and try to teach people how to win. So let's say they don't have a good changeup that day, which is a real thing. Even in the big leagues, you can have a guy. I'll use Johan Santana, one of the best changers of all time. There were days where he didn't have a great changeup, and you'd have to go fastball slider and just try to get him to throw a changeup every once in a while. That's just the way it is. I mean, you can't just be like, oh, I got to throw 20 changeups today. Like, no. Like,
also, between every half inning, you go back into the dugout. You can have a conversation.
The coach can say, hey, we need to throw more changeups.
Come on. Let's not act like
whoever told you that, Kratz, I'm sorry. I'm sure they're
into the battlefield for hours and there's no communication after that.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, agreed.
Come on.
I don't know who told you that, Kratz. I don't care who told you that, but that's, as we say, as the kids say, that's cap.
Well, what do you think, Kratz? Do you have an opinion?
I know.
I do have an opinion. That's brutal. That is not – the whole thing is not legit. You cannot go out there and say, okay, AJ, put 20 seeds in your pocket and you only get to throw 20 sliders. Like, you are paid as a professional baseball player to either develop into a winning player so that your organization develops into a winning organization. And to me, what they're doing, calling the pitches, is not enabling the best to get the best out of their guys. They're saying, well, we just want to worry. We want them to worry about hitting and blocking and throwing. That's it. Well, you know what? When you get to the big leagues, you still have to learn. You could call the pitches all you want in the minor leagues. You go to the big leagues, it is a different beast. You are going to have to figure out. But what you learned in the minor leagues, you're seeing it and you're learning and you're watching how guys are changing, how some guys get stronger as their outing goes on. Some guys get less command as the outing goes on. You have to be able to see that and recognize that to be able to cut it off before it goes bad in the show.
Okay, now let's get back on track.
We're on track.
Heroes.
My heroes? San Diego Padres fans. All that fan base continues to come out. They continue to make that environment unbelievable. I think they're 12-1 at home right now. And they did all this before front office really ever even they didn't do anything in the offseason to like bolster this team. They're getting behind the team that they built in the last 2 or 3 years, and they're saying, we're with you. I know you didn't make any changes, that big of changes, get the big-time free agents. We're with you. And the fans they're breaking attendance records. AJ has said this countless times. I haven't been there since 2019 or COVID 2020. I was there, but no fans were there. But the energy in that environment is unbelievable. Superheroes, because they've done it already this year too. My other superhero, I am blanking. Don't tell me. It is
A former team
Blue
of
Jays
yours. It's on the
ownership.
screen.
Yeah, Blue Jays ownership. Not just because they signed the native-born Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but because they've been willing to push money to the front office. I think the front office has kind of squandered it a little bit and not totally gone over value, but they went and they did this for Blue Jays fans. Ownership said, we're going to keep this guy here. Is this contract going to work out? I have no idea. Chances are no, but chances are you signed up a franchise cornerstone. That is a guy that you're going to have to, because your minor league system isn't that great, you're going to have to lure other free agents in, and this is a guy to do it. And also, they reset the market for first basemen. I know nobody's 26 years old when they're signing it, all that stuff. But first basemen have been undervalued, like catchers have been undervalued. Catchers for a long time, but first baseman since Prince Fielder's contract. And I think this is great for the players, and I think this is great for the entire nation of Canada.
Yeah, they're keeping him. He's a Blue Jay for life. All right, let's finish quick here with villains. So we're going to put some pictures to your work.
Easy peasy. Villain. First one. I'm Bob Nutting. Count Chocula. I'm counting all my money as I'm stealing it from Major League Baseball. Everything that they've done, throwing away bricks that people put money into, covering up with a sign to get more money of Roberto Clemente, Bob's an easy pick. My other villain, Colorado Rockies front office. For the last 15 years, the Rockies have been in anywhere from the 4th to the 8th best attendance in baseball. And they have squandered these fans' opportunities to come to games. And they've done it in slightly an arrogant way, in the sense of, we're not really going outside of the organization to make any changes. And when they did, they hired Bam Bam Mulens, and then they fired him. Anytime somebody comes in from outside the organization, it's like, well, if you're not part of our groupthink, then we're not keeping you around. A little bit leery of what the White Sox have been doing, kind of in the sense that it's just like the same groupthink. When they go outside the organization, maybe you'll hear, oh, wait, we need to be able to do this to be able to grow a team that's going to win.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Don't say we don't talk about them. It's a national baseball show. You get the good, the bad, the superheroes, and the villains. If there's one you want to throw out there, let us know. You know how to reach us. Okay, coming up next, JJ Cooper, Baseball America. It's a pretty good week for prospect call-ups. I'm excited to ask about Nick Kurtz and how he's going to fit in with that A's roster. That's coming up.
Let me tell you how much I love my almond shirt. I mean, listen, it's lightweight material, stretchy. This is the kind of stuff, Scott, that you can throw in the washer and dryer, and it's going to come out looking the exact same. The most important thing is you can get your favorite fan gear, man. You know me. I was once a Detroit Tiger 3 different decades, so you know I got to represent the old school D. You see it, the Tiger on the front. And not even, you've got options. Whatever you want, your favorite team. Make sure, biggest thing you do, go get that starter jacket. I know we're still in spring, still going to be cool in a lot of places. Make sure you get the starter jacket. It is fire.
Cam is styling right now. If you want to be like him, homage.com/foul territory and use the code foul territory if you're a first-time shopper on the site, and you can get yourself 20% off. Use the code foul territory. The name of the show and the brand is spelled HOMAGE. What's up?
By the way, that shirt that Cam holds up in that ad with the Tiger Stadium, I played in Tiger Stadium. They should have blown that place up. It was terrible. It was so bad. It was cool to say I got to play there, but it was so bad.
It was bad. It was dumb. But
it was, you know what? That and people always like, what's your best stadium you ever played in? There's a million of those now because they're all nice.
Yeah.
But no one ever really asked what your worst stadium was. Between Milwaukee and Detroit, wow.
Fulton County? No.
I didn't play in Fulton County. I miss Fulton County.
Okay. What was the Brewers?
Milwaukee County Stadium.
Oh, County Stadium.
County Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It was eye-opening.
Tiger Stadium at least was historic because it was so old, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tiger Stadium, that was the only thing it had going for it. But the County Stadium, there was a kitchen about the size of this desk that you had to go in to get food, and they had a pot of like chili in there. It was amazing.
Do you know what year Tiger Stadium was built?
It was like 1900 or something.
1924.
You literally walked off the street, you walked across the sidewalk, and you were in the clubhouse. There was a sidewalk and a door. You walked in this door with the fans.
With the fans.
You walked in the entrance, okay? All the fans are coming in. We were there obviously before the fans. So you walk in, and on the right was a little door, and you just walked right, and the clubhouse was right there.
Do they bother people when they're walking out?
I mean,
you could.
They had the bus right there, so you walked right out on the bus. They could have.
Yeah, that's ugly.
And the ceiling was like this high, so only Ken could walk and stand up in there.
White Sox visiting clubhouse was brutal before too. Just saying.
True.
The White Sox
ordered that.
Same. It's not bad.
Better now. It looks legit now.
Here we go. JJ Cooper back on Foul Territory. You can catch him all over Baseball America. Get yourself a subscription at baseballamerica.com, but also the star of Hot Sheet. But JJ, we felt like we needed you back on the show today to chat. So let's start with Nick Kurtz coming to the show. Are you excited? He just got drafted, obviously, last year, maybe higher than some expected, but he tore through the minor leagues. And how is this going to shake out with the major league roster?
That's the thing I'm most fascinated by here. I can't really find a scout. I can't find a coach who's seen Nick Kurtz play who doesn't think he's going to hit. But how is this this Rubik's Cube, how this puzzle going to work out for the A's? Because I mean, we got Rooker. Do you really want to play Brent Rooker in the outfield regularly? Soderstrom has been hitting enough that you've pretty much got to play Soderstrom. You've got him at first base. You got Nick Kurtz. You got Brent Rooker. It does feel like it's going to be kind of an interesting combo to figure out how to get all three of those in the lineup on a regular basis. But at the same time, I get it. Kurtz, as fast as he's moved to the big leagues, I don't think there was a lot is really being challenged in Las Vegas very much. Leading the minors in home runs at the time of his call-up. And again, this guy who's got power, but he's, I would say, really more of a pure hitter who has power than a guy who's a slugger who you hope can hit a little bit. It's a pretty polished approach.
I don't care about his approach, JJ. Have you seen the thing going around where the A's announcers were told they have to pause between Nick and Kurtz? When they say his name, because they're afraid people might misconstrue it for another something. So I don't know what that could be, but I'm just saying there was a whole thing going around where the A's announcers, now that he's being called up. Did you see this, Scott?
No, I have no idea what
you're talking about. So there's this big thing going around on X where they're saying that the A's announcers have been told not to say his name fast and to pause in between because they don't want him to be confused for something else. I'm serious.
Oh.
So man. It's like Nick Kurtz.
Kurtz.
They want to make sure there is a pause in between.
Okay.
Which is crazy to me because you're just saying the guy's name.
Yes.
But it's a thing.
I had never worried about that till you just said that. I
hadn't either. I had never thought of it. I had never thought of it either. And then I was reading about this guy this morning, and that was one of the things they were saying.
I mean, you probably know this. Maybe I know more because I used to work for the league. You do get a lot of directives on
but that's
things
a crazy
to be
one.
Careful about. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Now it's just going to be in my head.
Right now, you got to make sure you pause longer than you're just going to make it an awkward pause.
And now it's just going to give him a nickname, which we should do, but. I mean, this guy could be a hitting star from the jump too, right, JJ? I mean, I think were you a little surprised to see that he went that high in the draft last year, or no, because of the way that the A's pick?
I think if it hadn't been for the injury he had mid-season last year, he may have, been even maybe a little higher. Like, he could have been in that Charlie Condon mix of like the best pure college bat, but he'd kind of been a couple of injuries. That's the one thing we want to see this year is kind of a full healthy year. To his credit, he came back from it. It was a shoulder injury that when he had it, there was a question like, okay, is he going to be able to come back this season? He made it back pretty quickly from it. But I do think like the time that it happened, right, kind of in the middle of the season where teams are all kind of lining up their boards and all, I do think it may have affected him a little bit. Like looking at this a year later, we want to see Charlie Condon be healthy. But when you look at, say, who's the best just pure bat out of that draft, you look at what Kurtz is doing, you look at what Cam Smith is doing. Charlie Condon, obviously, we want to get him back from he had a wrist injury he suffered in spring training, but he's got a lot of work to do to kind of catch up to these guys who both are already in the big leagues, and I think Condon kind of is probably months away. So I do think that this is shaping up to be a fascinating AL Rookie of the Year race. We talked about on the Hot Sheet show. I don't even know who's going to win on the NL side, but on the AL side, man, there's a lot of good candidates.
Was this just another example that Major League Baseball loves the fact that they're going to be able to get rid of the minor leagues even sooner because these draft picks, all of the Angels draft picks are just going to the big leagues. And now a number 4th overall pick, teams are like, well, we can just wait and let these kids develop in their NIL deals in college, and we'll just call them up to the big leagues in a year, and then we can get rid of more minor league teams.
I will point out with that, like if this ever happened that we pushed it more to the college side, y'all mentioned about Vlad Jr. earlier, you talked about first base, free agent contracts, and you said most guys aren't free agents at 26. When we talk about like what we see with a Bobby Witt Jr., we see the guys who are those premium high school draftees at the top of the draft, they're going to take a little bit longer, but those are also like, those are the guys, those are the international signings, are the guys who signed the massive free agent contracts. Why? Because when a Bobby Witt Jr. makes it to the big leagues at 19 or 20, when I know Jackson Holliday hasn't had a great start to his big league career, but he's 21. When guys like that hit free agency at 26, 27, that's when you see the Soto type deals. If it gets pushed more and more to the college side, even when those guys move quickly, you're still talking about, usually you're talking about free agent at 28, 29. And doesn't feel like a massive difference, but you guys know better than I do. That's a ton of difference when it comes to your bargaining power as a free agent.
All right. Who are other draft picks that we should be, other call-ups that we should be looking at or anticipating or watching that are already up?
There are a couple of interesting ones this week. Craig Yoho came up with the best changeup in the minors. I don't know if it's going to be a brief stay for the Brewers pen or kind of like where they bring him up and then they send him back down and then they bring him up, or maybe he's there to stay, but he's kind of an interesting reliever to watch. The one I want to ask, I'm getting to talk to, to catchers here. Agustin Ramirez just came up for the Marlins, and the knock on him's always been his defense. I know y'all talked about it before. Also, the Marlins doing things a little differently here now in the minor leagues with their catchers. But I'm going to be interested to see how his defensive development continues in the big leagues. He's got to do it pretty quick because Joe Mack, who's a top 100 prospect for us, is coming up behind him. But as I'm watching, I feel like that catcher development and improvements in the minors are you see so much more there than you do in amateur baseball that I feel like it really makes it kind of tough to evaluate catchers. Like when I'm watching now, and you say, okay, on a low pitch now, it seems like every team is teaching show a target, drop the glove, and then kind of catch it in an upward motion. Never saw that 3-4 years ago. We're seeing things change so much on the catcher side that I do feel like when I'm saying a guy can hit, but I'm worried that we're hearing worrisome reports about his defense of a minor league catcher, some of those guys end up being Austin Wells. So I think that's a really tough thing to evaluate. So I'm interested to see how Agustin Ramirez develops, how much he catches for the Marlins, because while I've heard a lot of concerns about his defense, I do feel like that catching defense is something that proper instruction, the tools to do it, and a lot of want to and kind of intelligence can kind of help guys exceed what maybe is the expectations for those guys in the minors or are coming out of the draft or being signed as a international amateur. But for you guys, like again, as two guys who've done it, like it feels like that. How do you kind of look at it as far as how a guy can develop? Is it fair to say that a guy can probably make more improvement defensively as a catcher than you could if you're talking about shortstops, you're talking about center fielders or a lot of other positions?
100%. I think shortstops, you're gifted as a shortstop as a 16-year-old. Can you work on mechanics? Yes. But there's so many things in the catching game. And Agustin, he's in the Marlins system, so clearly he hasn't called any pitches, on his own since the Marlins are calling them all for him. But that's the biggest thing. Behind the dish, you're not going to move a ton differently. Yes, guys can change the receiving and all that stuff. ABS will kind of squash a little bit of that. But defensively, you got to learn to call a game. You got to learn to call a game, and you have to learn to be able to deal with that loco pitcher on the mound who may or may not be the same guy from one start to the next, from one relief appearance to the next.
That's the part, when I look at what we're talking about with what the Marlins are doing, right now, I kind of think of this. You mentioned ABS, right? Like one of the reasons I think that we'll see eventually a challenge system, but I don't think we'll go to full ABS ever where the robots are calling every pitch. Beyond it's a bigger change than you probably need to have. Once you go down that road, it's really hard to ever come back because in the minors, the umpires who are developing, if they're just doing robo-umps, how are they ever going to learn to call balls and strikes? The same thing here. Obviously it's a little bit different because in college, the number of catchers who actually call their own game in college is a very small number. So it's something that catchers are having to develop as pros. But like you said, like if you don't do it in the minors, I don't know how, even if you don't do it until late in your minor league career, it's going to be really hard to kind of develop that skill when everything else is getting tougher too. Like that, it does seem like to me that A-ball is where you want to learn that because yes, you're 100% as a catcher going to make mistakes. You're going to do that in a little bit of a smaller stage where a lot less people are going to notice and where the pitcher also can't get nearly as mad at you because you called the wrong pitch there, but at the same time, he also missed the target the next 7 times. And, that was his fault too. So everyone's kind of learning at that level. It seems like you kind of want to figure those things out on a much smaller stage than you would at AAA or the majors.
I would agree. JJ, how fast is Chandler Simpson?
Oh, man. I love watching Chandler Simpson play. That play in Sunday, the controversial one where it's like, oh, is this, a hit or an error? Well, the thing about it is he's exceptionally fast. That's the fastest home to first time. I love the video y'all are showing here, but that was the fastest home to first time we've seen this year on a swing, 3.9, which is basically 80, and a StatCast 3.9 is really more like probably a 3.8. The funny thing about this is I don't think he'll lead the majors. When we talk about StatCast stats, we talk about sprint speed. Sprint speed is your top speed. I would say that I've talked to Rays officials who say if you said there was a 60, right? There might be guys who could be as fast as Chandler Simpson in a 60. But baseball speed's a little more important is how quickly you accelerate, and no one accelerates faster than Chandler Simpson. And that's what's going to be the difference for him. That's why he steals all those bases. That's why he's going to be the fastest guy in the majors because, if you tell me that someone can be faster going first to home on that rare play, that's less useful than if Chandler Simpson is the fastest from home to first, the fastest from first to second. The fastest, and again, this is the thing we're going to be interested to watch, is defensively, we're starting to see more times where he kind of just is not having to think about it and just sees a ball in the gap and just takes off at it and basically outruns the baseball. Those are the ways he's going to impact the game. And as I love to keep saying, I think he's a better hitter than a lot of people are giving him credit for. I think of as a hitter, think of him, there's no power there, but there are some real bat-to-ball skills. And the thing that I just keep watching him do that impresses me is when he gets velo in, he can get that bat head out. And that's the thing to me that usually when you talk about these 80-grade runners who you question like they have no power, usually they can't handle velocity like that. Chandler Simpson has shown, not every time, but he's shown pretty consistently he can. And once he shows that he can handle an inside pitch, then you go away, and then he just whacks it to third base or shortstop or in between the hole. And if he gets it, if the shortstop or the third baseman has to take a step or two, one way or the other, yeah, he's not being thrown out.
We know the potential's there, so it's a yes or no. Will he steal 100 bases in the big leagues in one season?
No, because I just don't think that the game's going to let him, right? Like, even if he hits 300, we're now in the world. I know that they've loosened up the stolen base rules and all that, but at the same time, we're in a risk-averse era when it comes to steals. When Vince Coleman was doing that, if he got thrown out twice on Tuesday, they wanted him to try 3 times on Wednesday, right? Now it's something where it's going to be something where if you don't have an 85% success rate on it, he's going to get some red lights, right? There are going to be times they give him the green, but it's never going to be like it was when Vince Coleman or Ricky Henderson was doing it, where those guys had the green light every time they reached base. Now I feel like it's like, okay, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's yellow, and sometimes it's red.
Yoho, how good is this do we have a different name for the airbender? Like, is this the air slicer?
So I'm working on this because Yoho, there's got to be something here. I'm not creative enough, but there's got to be something with the Yoho yo-yo maybe or something like that, because that kind of works, maybe. But it is such a fun changeup to watch. I know that, changeups aren't the sexiest pitch, but man, it's fun to watch when a guy goes back to back to back to a hitter with a changeup and gets some, where the hitter knows the changeup's coming and it just doesn't matter because it's just such an effective pitch. And by the way, we saw it last night. He throws 95. I don't want to make it sound like this is Doug Jones out here, who's like, okay, it's 84, but check out the changeup. This is a guy who's going to have enough other stuff. He's a well-rounded reliever who just happens to have this absolute filthy weapon of a changeup.
You got anything, Kratz?
Nothing. Why?
You don't have a nickname for him? Like even a dad joke kind of thing? Nothing?
Nothing. I mean, I've been thinking about it since I saw him in spring training. I mean, he had some elite outings in spring. It's such the name is so easy. Like, you got to come up with an easy nickname. I like the yo-yo, but
it's not the best. But
not the best.
Let me ask you this, guys, because I did want to ask you, because I've been watching a lot of catchers. We got 13 catchers in our top 100 right now, right? And
damn,
when you're looking, obviously the left hand nowadays, left hand's more important than the right hand, right? How you receive. What do you, when you see a catcher, what tells you that this is a guy who is going to work for him in the major leagues, versus a guy who it feels like a lot of times these small margins. Obviously, you hit on the intelligence, the ability to work with pitchers is a key aspect of it. But as a receiver, what are the things that tell you that this guy's special?
Strength. Guys who can control. If you're talking about just receiving, it's the strong guys. Like, AJ was never considered like the prototypical, like, great receiving numbers catcher, but his strength helped him control the ball, especially with the way the dudes throw now. You have to be able to beat the ball to the spot, wherever it is, no matter where you start, up here, to go down, to come up, all that stuff. You have to beat the ball to the spot. And so if a guy has fast, strong hands, those would be the like intangible, out of game things that I would look at and be like, okay, he has a better chance of being a good receiver.
Ethan Salas is the one that stands out to me that way, what you're talking about right now, as far as a minor leaguer, like where he beats it to the spot, and then when he catches it, it really stands out that like it's a soft, strong hand where he never seems to have to kind of work at it, right? It's something where, like, when you see guys go up at the bottom of the zone, one of the things I'm trying to watch for is kind of the fluidity of it. And you see those guys who they're trying to do it, but they don't trust their hands enough, so they kind of stop. And so then they go down a little bit, and then they go back up. And those guys don't seem to it doesn't seem to pay off as well for them as the guys who can, like you said, who can beat it to the spot and then are comfortable, confident enough in their hands to do it in one motion.
So for me, I look for something different. I look for the way they catch the ball. Do they catch it cleanly? That to me is the biggest indicator of a guy that knows what he's doing and has good hands. When you watch a catcher, and people ask me like at the high school and college level, what do you look for? I look for guys that catch it cleanly, right? They don't clank a lot of balls.
Yep.
They just catch it. They just catch the ball, right? They catch it. They catch it. They catch it. They catch it. It's over here. It's over here. Oh, they're not chasing balls. They're not missing balls. They're not. And it just looks easy. The easier it looks, JJ, the better they'll be able to receive. It should just be easy. It should just be like, boom, caught another one. Oh, I caught it. And you don't even notice them. That's the thing. Like if you notice a catcher, something's not right. If the catcher goes through a game and you never notice them other than maybe if they get a hit or they throw a guy out, they've had a great game. You just want to catch the ball, make it easy, and go on to the next one.
The one that when you said that made me think of it is when I'm watching a guy where a slider kind of backs up on him, so he's expecting it out and it comes back in on him. The guys who can do that and kind of make that backhand look easy, that kind of tells me, okay, that's where you mentioned it, Kratz. You mentioned about how shortstops you can improve some things, but like I kind of think of it as almost like that's where you kind of show those hands, almost those shortstop type hands behind the plate. Is that fair that when a pitch doesn't do what you expect it to do and you have that ability, that confidence to kind of handle it without like it seeming to be a big deal at all, that to me kind of stands out as, okay, that guy's probably got a little bit better hands than the average catcher.
You can tell. Just like AJ said, you can tell. Like you can see it right away.
It's funny when you said that, AJ, because Eduardo Tate is considered one of the better young defensive catchers in the minors. But one of the things, trying to watch some video of him this week, you see more of the ball at the end of it. Like it seems to it stays in the mitt, but it doesn't just stay center of the mitt. It rattles around a little bit where you're telling me it's like, okay, it's a little bit different than that guy who just, when Salas, it just hits the mitt and it disappears. It's like a pillow.
There you go. Hey, more of these kind of conversations every single week on Hot Sheet. Obviously, you catch these combos within Baseball America too. But JJ, thank you so much. Great having you back on.
Great to see you guys.
Yes, you too. And we'll show it off, taking up the whole screen here. It is Hot Sheet, and it is every single Monday. You can catch it live on the Baseball America YouTube channel at 3:30 East Coast time, or you can catch it later on wherever you get your pods. Be right back. Do you know what tomorrow is? Wednesday. Ooh, Kratz is really, you can tell when he's thinking. He's really stewing right now.
I have no idea.
It might
My mother-in-law's birthday?
Well, that's for sure. It might be the day that we hit 100,000 YouTube subscribers.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, just wanted to get into the conversation in a creative way. We are 200-something subs away, so that's something that could be accomplished over the next 24 hours.
Let's get it done. Need a play button right in between you guys. I need to be able to get a picture with the play button. It's kind of a flex for kids under 21, but need it.
Oh, the trophy thing?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
They give out a trophy or something. You know about that?
No, not really, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. There's a trophy you get, or some type of plaque, when you hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Real subscribers. You know who you are. Well, some pages are fake. We're real.
Oh, I don't know anything about that either.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it on this one.
Real subs. We're going to put a spot. We're going to find a nice home for it.
But shouldn't it be in the studio here somewhere?
That's what I'm saying. A nice home for it.
Oh, yeah.
On the desk.
Oh, yeah.
We might have to knock someone off.
How many, you have to have 100,000? Is that the rule?
Yes.
Got it. How many people have
you see
that?
it in the chat?
Yeah, I do. I didn't know anything
How many
about
people
that.
have that? Probably a lot, since YouTube's been around for like 15 years. I mean, I'm guessing hundreds, if not thousands. At least hundreds.
Let me ask this. How many baseball shows have that?
I would say one. John Boy? That's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. like 98% sure. Just baseball.
Yeah.
If we're just talking baseball, I think one other. So could be cool.
Be sweet.
100K. It would be cool.
Approximately 520,000 have 100,000 or more. You're close though, Scott.
Did you think 520K?
I didn't know. That's why I don't speak when I don't know something.
Yeah, you just throw guesses out there. Over 100 million YouTube channels.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube channels.
There are kids these days. But anyway, we appreciate anyone that's watching. And right now we're only on YouTube. We'll come back to the TV world in a moment. But if you could press the button for us and a like button too, that'd be cool.
Fuzzy? What's fuzzy? Fuzzy has 100K. What's fuzzy?
Yeah, fuzzy. But is it a show? A lot of these guys do videos. We're talking about shows, daily shows. He does videos. All right, Spencer Strider back to the injured list. He strained his hamstring playing catch yesterday. So they're figuring out their rotation here. And that sucks because it's not – you don't want it to be the arm, the elbow, the shoulder, whatever, but –
He heard it playing catch, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's strange. It's strange one to me that he would heard it playing catch. You're just playing catch and
vicious game of catch.
Is there any concern when something like that pops up so quickly when he came back, or it's just kind of happenstance?
Happenstance. It's not like he was like, Tommy John surgery. I can throw off a mound. Big leagues. Like you saw his outings. You saw like he's already getting after it, and then it happens when he's playing catch. I would say a freak thing. I don't know. I always think of Mark Burley when I think of pitchers playing catch in between starts. Mark Burley played the easiest game of catch. And you go to the outfield right now, in between starts and bullpen guys, they play catch against each other. They don't play catch with each other. It is like they're ripping on the ball. And I don't know how you can pull any of those hamstrings because Strider is got some absolute massive legs.
Well, that can lead to maybe a hamstring injury, no? If you've got usually more muscle can lead to higher injury.
Can't pull fat, Scott.
Right. So
can't pull fat.
Should we get him on the fat plan?
Weren't there some gigantic legs?
Yeah, he is jacked, lower body jacked. Weren't there some pitchers though? I mean, who's the famous one? Is it CC when he got super skinny and then he's like, I need to get fat again. Yeah. I need to put on some
mass
weight.
Equals gas. That's what they said.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on that, but that sucks for the Braves, even though the Braves are balling right now.
Braves have got their mojo back a little bit right now.
They already have a better record than the team they beat last night.
Cardinals.
I mean, everyone was like, what is wrong with the Braves? And it's like, it's been 2 weeks.
The Cardinals, by the way,
they're struggling.
They're on the struggle bus right now.
City.
Ollie got kicked out last night.
Yeah. They lost by a run.
They're still not as good as the Rockies, though.
No, but they're 9-14. The Braves are 9-13. Sean Murphy had a big home run yesterday, too, that made the lead 7-3. They needed all of it, so 7-6. Anyway.
Rays and Braves have the same record, FYI.
The Rays and the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Is that saying more about the Rays?
I think that says more about the Rays.
The Rays, yeah.
Because the Braves started out 0-7 or 0-8. What was it, 0-7?
0-7. 0-7 on the road trip, and then they came back.
So they were 0-7, and now they're 9-6. So they're back over 500. You can't take away the 7. But
tough trip, though.
It is a tough trip. Dodgers, Padres to open.
Yeah, a lot of people would struggle with that trip. So the point is the Braves are fine. They have to play a little catch-up. I mean, right now they're still way back on the Mets.
Yeah, but there's wild cards.
There are wild cards. So the Braves will be in the mix, just like we told you.
Oh.
All right, Justyn-Henry Malloy is getting ready to go in the green room to join us on FT. Coming up next.
Only 6.5 out.
Who? The Braves?
There's 6 games in the loss.
NL East?
Yeah, they're not. the other thing is no one else in the NL is running away with anything. So there's wild card spots. There is a wild card spot available, but the West is going to be a problem.
The West is a problem for the East.
Yes.
Right? Like if you're Atlanta, it's great. You're starting your charge again. But
you got a long way to go, though, because you got the Giants, the Padres, Dodgers, and Diamondbacks. All are really good. I know they're going to beat up on each other at some point, but they're all really good.
They're not all making the playoffs. That's the thing. I mean, you're going to – if the Giants stick and they're good
let's say they get 3 out of the West.
Okay.
Pick the 3, whatever 3 you want. Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks. We'll just go with those 3. Okay. Then someone's got to win the Central. There's 4. Then you get 1 wild card. Someone's got to win the East, and then there's 1 in the. Can they catch the Phillies, the Braves, or the Mets?
Right. That's going to be your question mark. Out of, let's say you think the Dodgers and Padres are going to be in their class, and the Central just gets 1. And then you've got the Mets and Phillies. You've got the Braves, the Giants, and the Diamondbacks. Only one of those teams can make it.
Yeah, if the Phillies and Mets are in.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's good. This is why the wild card, I know people are mad about it, but I think the wild card is good because it gives the Braves a shot.
Yes.
When they wouldn't previously never had a shot after their start.
People are like, you play the whole year, Kratz. We should be able to just figure it out. I know, but do you know how many fan bases were checking out so early on in prior seasons? A lot.
But the other side of the argument is maybe the ownership's like, we don't need to spend because it's easier to get in. We don't need to push hard. So I see the other side of it, but I completely agree. I think the wild card is awesome, or the expanded wild card, I should say, is awesome.
Yep. Hey, the Braves in 2021 won the World Series. They weren't good until like mid-August. So you might say, hey, that's not fair. They should be good for the whole year. But they hung around. They weren't a disaster. They just didn't take off until down the stretch. And there's something to say to that.
Yeah, but they were alive.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They weren't bad. They weren't good.
They were like around 500, and they got hot at the end and went on to win the World Series.
Yeah, but it's a marathon. That's part of playing a full season.
You'd rather have a bad stretch at the beginning than the end. Ask the Twins.
Whew. Good call. We'll stay in that division. Justyn-Henry Malloy, Tiger slugger, next up. Here we go. Justyn-Henry Malloy joining us right now on Foul Territory. Tigers slugger. Tigers are off to a great start. Justyn-Henry, great to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me. This is pretty sick. I'm a huge fan of this and Foul Territory, so I'm super happy to be here.
Wait, what do we call you? What do we call you? Because that's too much for me to say. So I need a something short.
J-Hen. J-Hen's been my nickname since I was like 8 years old. So every coach I had kind of said the same exact thing. So J-Hen for short.
There you go. I see some people abbreviate online. They'll say JHM. You see that sometimes, right? You don't like that?
No, not really. J-Hen was always kind of my thing. I feel like JHM is just, I don't know, it's just taking my name, kind of picking it apart. I feel like I want J-Hen.
That's good to know. I'm going to tell people online.
There you go.
I'll tell the beat writers.
That's why we ask those hard-hitting questions, Scott.
That's right. Wait, I want to know more about FT. We never do this, right? Tell us what you watch, how you consume it, what you like about it, any key moments.
So I remember it just kind of showed up on my For You page on Instagram, and it just kept showing up and kept showing up. And just the topics that we talk about, or not we, but you guys talk about the game and kind of the insides about the game. And it was cool because I was able to show my friends kind of how I thought, and they would think some of the things I would think were crazy, whether it be like the pitch clock or so have you. And you guys would talk about it, and then I would be able to send it to them. So it kind of sparked this interest that I had and still have for Foul Territory, and I'm a follower, and I'm really psyched to be on with you guys, to be completely honest.
That's sick that you say that. But what are we missing? What are we missing? Because AJ's really old, and I'm just kind of old. I'm not as old as he is. But we missed stuff because we haven't been in the game for a few years.
Honestly, I think you guys are pretty spot on with a lot of the things you talk about, a lot of the topics. you guys are so up to date on the plays that happen in the day-to-day. You guys don't miss anything. So kudos to you guys, seriously. As just kind of a current player right now, you guys hit the nail right on the head pretty much every time. So I'm pretty psyched.
That's awesome.
That's great. I appreciate you saying that. Now, when you go into your clubhouse, I need you to do two things for me. One, slap Joey Cora for me. Tell him it came from me. Okay, say, Joey, just smack him as hard as you want. Say it came from me. And whatever happens after that is on you, J-Ham. But just know that the slap came from me with love, okay? Now, whatever he says or does, that's your own problem to deal with. You're bigger, way bigger than him, so you can take him, okay? Just point over there and he'll run like there's a ball, okay? And then second of all, every time you see your manager, you have to call him Hinch. No more AJ, because when he comes on the show, he is Hinch on this show. So just know, because we can only have one AJ on this show, so we can't have a Hinch. So we call him Hinch. And I'm not sure that he loves it, but he went to Stanford, so he doesn't really have a choice.
You know, I could do the Joey thing. The Hinch one, I don't really know. I feel like I just kind of call him AJ or Skipper. Just kind of like a Hefe
I get
type
you.
of thing.
I get you.
But I'll say it's from you, and I think it'll slide by pretty nice.
Honestly, ask Joey Cora about the time he bit someone's ankle. He'll know exactly what you're talking about. I'm telling you.
He bit
I'm telling you.
ankle?
Okay, so there's a fight where I was involved in a fight when Joey was our third base coach with the White Sox and the Cubs. And there was a rumor that Joey Cora was on the bottom of the pile biting, I think it was John Mabry's ankle. Now, he denies it, but that was like the hot topic for a while, that Joey Cora was biting. So we called him the little chihuahua for a while because he was freaking biting the dude's ankle. Now, he says it's not true, but I don't know.
See, the more that I listen, the more it sounds exactly like Joey. So now things are kind of just checking out. I get it now.
Exactly. Or ask him about the time him and Ozzy challenged Michael Jordan to a basketball game. Also ask him about that in spring training.
God.
What?
They challenged MJ 2-on-1, Ozzy and Joey, and MJ's like, really? And I think he spotted him. They were playing to 11. He spotted him 10.
They actually did it?
Yes.
No way.
You got J-Hen. I'm telling. Next time you come on, you got to ask Joey about when he played MJ. Him and Ozzy played MJ in spring training in basketball.
So played him in spring training, gave him 10 points, still lost.
Yes, MJ I think gave Ozzy and Joey 10 points, and they still lost.
See, we talk basketball all the time here in this clubhouse.
See?
And there's always a Jordan LeBron debate, right? So like me personally, I'm a LeBron guy. I grew up watching LeBron. I know it rubs people the wrong way, the Gen Z, Gen X, whatever. But I'm a LeBron guy. And Joey will defend Michael Jordan until he dies. So now I get it, because he kind of just, bent him over and spanked him when all he needed to score was one bucket. So now I get it. Now I totally get it.
He cooked him. Of course. LeBron would never cook you like that. You would at least score one bucket.
Me?
Yeah.
No. I played hoops in high school. I gotta have the respect to know that I'm probably not scoring on LeBron. I'm not 6'8". Also, just don't have the skill set to score on that guy. But forever will be a LeBron guy. But now I get why Joey's a Michael Jordan guy.
All right. Well, while AJ's trying to get you sent down, I'm trying to keep you in the big league. But the one question I did have was, what was that conversation like when you got fired from big league camp this year? When you get sent down, it's something we don't really talk about much. We've had dudes on that have been DFA'd, guys that have just signed big-time contracts. But when you get sent down from big league camp, besides the fact that you're joyous that you don't have to go to cold Detroit, you get to go to cold Toledo. What is that conversation like, especially when you're part of a team that did what they did last year?
Like anyone would kind of expect, it's a pretty tough conversation. For me this year, we had travel out to San Francisco. So we had 2 exhibition games. So we go from Lakeland all the way out west to San Fran. Then we go from San Fran to LA before opening day. So like we're talking the day before we're about to play game 1. And I just got a text from George Lombard, who's our bench coach, and he was like, "Hey, can you meet me in the restaurant that's near the lobby?" So it's kind of that time where everyone's starting to realize, like, hey, there's X amount of spots left and there's X amount of guys, and we need to make one more cut. So I knew then when I was going down, I was either going to find out I was making the team or not. And in that moment, AJ came down as well, and they just kind of broke the news to me. Just, super straightforward. Just kind of how they wanted to go in the direction of the team at the time. And it sucks, it hurts, and it's just kind of a blow. But I got sent back to Detroit, played in Toledo for 3 games, and then got called back up.
Good for you. Good for you. Do you like playing the outfield or do you like playing the infield better? I always wondered this about people because you've kind of played both. Which one do you like better?
Whatever gets me in the lineup. I mean, if I'm being super honest, like, I like to play. I like to be out there with the guys. I like playing baseball. So wherever I can be at in the lineup, wherever I'm needed, is wherever I'm down to play. That's kind of just how I've always looked at it.
You said you like being out there with the guys. Who are you most connected with on the team? Who's a dude on the team where you're like, yeah, this is my guy?
That's tough. Because we're such a close-knit group here. Again, I've obviously only been on one big league team, but I think the youth and just all of us kind of meshing together, that's a tough one. If I had to single anyone out, though, I'm going to single out a few guys. I'm going to say Kerry Carpenter. He's just been a guy because we work similar roles-ish. Like last year specifically, kind of in that DH role in the platoon. And when a righty was in the game, I rooted for Carp. And when a lefty was in the game, he rooted for me. So, and kind of the passing of the baton, when that switch would happen. So Carp was a guy that I always was able to lean on. Matt Vierling was a guy last year for me. Like, I kind of looked at him like I could ask him any question in the world about how to go about his business, how to go about my business, and approach and game plan. And then Parker, he was my roommate back in 23 when he got called up to the big league. So that was a special moment. But tough to name just one guy. But those are the 3 off the top of my head that I can kind of give kudos to because they're great people.
But why not any pitchers? This is something that's always asked. Like, why can't position players ever be – not that you don't like them. It's just like pitchers are kind of like their own clique. Can you explain it to the fans that are watching?
It's funny. Like, so it's always one team, right? It's always one team, but they do their own thing on their side of the ball, and we do our thing on our side of the ball. And it's just kind of the conversations are just a little bit different, right? When we talk, say, for example, hitters, when we talk balls and strikes, we want it to be a ball if it's a ball. As a pitcher, they look at it and they're like, oh, but that's a really good pitch, though. So it's like it's just 2 completely different sides of the universe, but we all kind of coexist and love each other. And, obviously it's kind of like 2 separate jobs, but it's for anyone, listening, it's completely different, but it's also one and the same.
All right, J-Hem, you were traded. A lot of people out there don't know that you were originally signed by Atlanta and you were traded to Detroit for Jimenez. But what I want to know is, Kratz and I both have seniors in high school that are going to college to play baseball. What was the harder thing to do? You transferred from Vanderbilt. By the way, Joey Cora went to Vanderbilt too. So don't tell me smart.
He'll let me know in a heartbeat.
Like you left. Yep, you left Vanderbilt for Georgia Tech, okay? Or getting traded. What was the harder move for you? Because you decided to leave Vandy to go to Tech, or finding out one day you get a call and they're like, hey, by the way, you're not a Brave anymore. You're now a Tiger. Go get them.
For me, I think the hardest thing was transferring. When I transferred, it was kind of one of those things that I had to make the decision. It wasn't it was completely out of my hands like a trade, and it just kind of happens like that. I had to be the one to wear the decision and to kind of go into the transfer portal pretty blind. It was the first time that I was obviously ever in the transfer portal, and it was kind of the first time things were getting hot because it was right after COVID, and that's where a lot of guys were taking the opportunity to explore other options. But it was definitely super scary transferring because I didn't know what the portal was going to look like. I didn't know what schools were going to reach out. I didn't know if I was going to go from an SEC caliber guy to, go to another school that's outside of the Power Five. Like, I didn't know how that process was going to shake out. And then on top of it, which Joey Cora can't say, I came off winning a natty in 2019 with Vanderbilt. So it was tough leaving a good program that we were hot and we were gelling together. And then I had to, kind of make the big boy decision to leave and go a different route. So I would say that was definitely scarier for me.
That's a tough decision to have to make at that age, for sure. But I want to hit on Spencer Torkelson before we're done. Spencer Torkelson, seeing what he's doing, are you impressed with it, surprised with it, or you're like, yeah, I knew he'd do this if he just got one more chance?
Impressed, proud, super happy, and I knew he was going to do it. Like that was the guy that was drafted. That was the guy who went 1-1. It was just a matter of time. To see, obviously, the things that he had to go through, obviously there's talks and you see, off-season moves and stuff like that. And I'm always a huge fan of the guy that is able to come over the top, because I think most players, if not all players, have to go through that in their career. And to be able to see him kind of turn that corner from, and I'm not even going to sit here and say that he was a question mark. Like, I don't think he was a question mark. Like, I mean, this guy went number 1 overall, a couple years ago. And to see him turn that corner, it gives other players who want to turn the corner some hope. Like, this is on the other side, right? Like, if you kind of stick with it, stick with the approach, stick with the adjustments, this is what it looks like on the other side. And to be able to see that, and obviously he's a teammate of mine, I'm just super happy for him because he's earned it. He's earned it, and it's sick to see. I mean, he's putting up insane numbers, insane at bats. I mean, even the outs are different. It's just loud. It's a presence. So I'm very happy for him. Not just as a teammate, but like just as like a friend and a guy who I'm with every day. Like, that's pretty awesome to see.
Is there anybody that you've played against that you've kind of been in awe of? Like, you're like, whoa, this dude's kind of special.
I mean, I guess kind of the answer a lot of people would give is Judge. I grew up a Yankee fan, so being able to see him in person, see how large he actually is in person, and the things that he does. I mean, he's hitting balls off the end of the bat, and then you look at the scoreboard and it's like 98. It's like, that's someone else's barrel. So seeing him is really fun to see. We're playing Tatis right now. Seeing him just kind of fly around in the outfield and do what he does is pretty cool. But the guy who I'm in awe of is definitely a guy who I'm very happy who's on my team, is Tarek Skubal. Seeing what he does day in and day out and how he just attacks the zone. And I mean, he's 0-1, 0-2, and then is able to put guys away. I think it's so impressive, and I'm just really glad I don't have to face him.
True that. Jay-Hen, first of all, I'm going to give you a compliment. For someone from New Jersey, you're very well spoken. I work with all these New Jersey people all the time, and I have to compliment you on how well spoken you are compared to Scott, Todd, Mark Weiner, producer lady. I'll throw Kratz in Jersey because he's by Philly. I mean, it's amazing how much better. It must be the Vandy Georgia Tech thing. So I just want to compliment you on that first. Now, what do you do for fun? We're in here talking about, I want to know what you do for fun. You got an off day in Detroit, or you're back home in New York and you're hanging out. What's Jay-Hen doing to get his mind away from baseball?
I would say I'm a pretty regular guy. I love playing video games with my boys. That's just like our thing. That's how we connect. We've been friends for I'm 25 and we've been friends for 20 years now. We went to preschool together, and then there's another one of my best friends. We played travel ball together when we were 8. So I mean, we like to get on Fortnite. We like to drop in and just kind of do what most other people like to do. I like to go on walks. That's kind of one of my, I guess, weirder things, or maybe a different thing. Just kind of like clear my head. Me and my girlfriend will go on a walk, just to kind of talk and connect, and while also disconnecting from, whether it be work or baseball or whatever. But I mean, I'm a pretty regular guy. I like to be on my phone. I like to be on TikTok.
Stay off those phones, especially during the game. Stay off them phones, especially during the game, okay? Don't be texting about stuff during the game. And also, don't be texting about things that happen on your team, okay? Let's not tweet about that stuff either, right? You know better, right? You know better.
No phones during the game or after the game. Once baseball is over, baseball is over. That's kind of how I like to disconnect. It's just kind of baseball's over, baseball's over. There's no need to kind of go on my phone or tweet during the game. I don't want to do that. But yeah, definitely seeing examples that I just kind of would rather stay away from.
Yep. And he's got Hinch. He's got a good guy. I mean, obviously, we've all known Hinch for years. He's been on the show a million times. So, I mean, you're a great interview. You're learning from a lot of great teammates. Tigers are some of the best interviews in baseball right now. Obviously, you got to win on the field. The team looks really good on the field.
By the way, how was Javi in center field? He did all right, right? People were talking about like the one ball that fell in front of him, like he should have caught it, but nobody's catching that ball. That was terrible. That was a tired take. People saying that, by the way.
I think he looks great. I mean, he's such a good athlete. He's got such good hands. He's got great instincts. I think as a player, the instincts that he has, and even the things that in our meetings before the game, like the little bits of knowledge from a base running standpoint or from a pick standpoint, he brings a lot of knowledge to this team, and that's why he's a veteran, and he's able to make that transition. And I thought the coolest part about yesterday was before the game, I see him breaking in this glove. I look at the glove. He's got the gold patch on it for his gold glove. And I'm like, that's so freaking cool, man. Like that I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, no, he's ready to be out there, and he could do it. I know he could do it.
Yeah. That's a theme this year. Altuve's doing it, and it was all the talk in spring training, and now you barely hear anything because he's just doing it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Guys will figure it out.
Yeah. Jahan, this was awesome. Thanks for joining us. Of course, let's do it again sometime. But thanks for watching us too and supporting FT. Appreciate you, man, and keep crushing it.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. Thank you.
Go Tigers.
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Fun. Thank you. Yeah. Well, we're right near Lakeland. BetMGM Locks. AJ's book didn't hit. My chapter didn't hit. Pap's basic pick didn't hit. And Kratz was calling the game with me last night, and it did not look like that was going to hit, and it did.
Took that last four run rally.
Phillies late run.
Thank you, Stott.
You're welcome.
Wow, that's just sad. Good thing I don't like red. That's another reason I don't like red.
Yeah, we got work to do. Well, we're like the stock market. We're up, we're down. And we're gonna do our best.
It's a wild ride with us around here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're looking for here. We'll do our picks in the next segment, but just taking an updated look at the MVP conversation. The odds leader right now is Aaron Judge, of course, in the AL. He's minus 325.
It's big.
Damn. Their biggest liability BetMGM is Bobby Witt Jr. So we'll see. There's still a lot of people throwing down on Bobby.
Yep.
We're still only a month in. A lot can happen the next 5 months. National League, The leader's Ohtani at plus 200 is much more wide open.
By the way, plus 200 to minus 325. That's crazy.
One is as close of a lock as you can get at this point in the season. Minus 325.
It's craziness.
Several weeks into the year in a sport where there's injuries left and right. That should tell you how much of a lead he took early on here. Biggest liability, Elly De La Cruz. It's people throwing down, and he clearly has good odds. I don't know where he's at in this moment, but something to keep in mind.
I gotta have to dig into the AL.
AL?
I just want to see who else. There's got to be somebody else that's off to a good start. No,
We got to look at the list.
I know I got to dig in a little bit here. I haven't. I mean, I've been looking, but I haven't dug in. So I'm gonna have to dig in here and look around a little bit and find some stuff.
There's some people tweeting like, "Oh, the National League is so much better. Look at the WAR numbers." I'm like, it's so early.
It's so early.
Relax. But
Judge is hitting 384. Pretty good. 490
I was going to say.
OBP. Almost 1,200 OPS. Has the most hits. Yeah. Okay. I see it now.
Brent
All right, I
Rooker?
see it now. Sorry.
It's
Rooker?
impressive. It is really impressive.
What's up? We're back. Let's talk about MJ Melendez. This was a story from the weekend that we just didn't have time for yesterday. And a few Royals fans popped in and were like, no Melendez talk yesterday? Well, there was a lot going on yesterday with Acuna and the beef with the Blue Jays and the Mariners, etc.
This is something I think that people have been asking for a few, there's been talk of this before.
That
Melendez,
he gets sent
that
down.
he would get sent down.
Yeah,
because he's struggled. He's been around a 200 hitter for the last couple of years, and there's Kansas City people I think are saying, is there someone else we have? And Mark Canha was off to a great start down there, and so I don't know. This isn't like Aaron Judge getting sent down. That's not a knock on MJ Melendez. He's been a good player, but this isn't the same kind of feel.
No,
right?
it's not a surprise. So the first 3 seasons of his big league career, he was still a below average bat, and he was a catcher that converted him to outfield. It's definitely taken him some time to get that together. So he's a negative win player, right? And I'm using these kind of stats because these are stats that are used in front offices to evaluate players.
Mm-hmm.
Now this year, after the first few weeks of the season, he's under 100 with the batting average. The on base is under 200. The slug's under 200. And his weighted runs created plus, which is very similar to OPS plus, is in the negative, which is like almost impossible to pull off. It's 20 strikeouts and 52 plate appearances. Not piling on. It's just it's really, really bad right now. And he needs to go down and work on things. He did make some swing changes in the offseason, but it's not surprising by any means. I think some fans just wanted to get a take from you guys on, a catcher converted to outfield, known more for the bat, makes hard contact, has trouble making contact consistently right now. And are we surprised that he hasn't panned out? Tons of guys don't pan out. Why didn't the Royals do more in the offseason to try to work on the outfield? Well, the answer is they were in the Profar sweepstakes. They lost. Kratz, that probably was for the best. They were in the Santander sweepstakes. That would have helped.
Just a little too late because he had already accepted the Blue Jays offer. But
yep,
why did they? I mean, maybe that's a misstep by them by not going hard enough to address this need. Something that the Royals have always done because of how big their outfield is they've produced outfielders. When you put other position players in the outfield, ever since India came over, they're like, oh, yeah, he's going to go to left. We even talked about that on the show. MJ Melendez has been playing right field. They have they've had Hunter Renfroe out there, guys who maybe don't necessarily cover a ton of ground, but have a certain skill set that they're able to deploy out in the outfield. Free agency, you're not really looking at dudes that absolutely run and get after the ball in the outfield. So it would have to be in some type of trade. I don't know if they failed to try to trade for a speedy outfielder that covers a lot of ground, Who knows? But that's what you need in KC, and that's what they've always wanted out there.
Yeah, it's tough to find.
Yeah. Got to hit, too.
It was a bad outfield last year.
You got to hit.
Production.
You got to hit to play the outfield. I'm sorry. Listen, outfield defense is great, but would you rather have a guy that hits you 40 and mess up a ball here and there, or a guy that's a great defender and hits 200?
Give me some slug, please.
I'll take the 40 homer dude and live with a mistake in the out. I mean, Manny Ramirez did it his whole life.
Yep. Can't have 3 of those out there.
No, you can have one though.
Yes.
But in KC, you got to have dudes that are athletic. Melendez is athletic.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit at some point. Like everyone looks back on that 15 team, Kratz, you're on, and Low Kane and Alex Gordon, those dudes were athletic as all get out. They also banged. Alex Gordon could hit, man. Low Kane was an underrated hitter. Those guys could hit, right? You got to be able to swing the bat to play the outfield. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little bit.
And they picked up India for some on-base skills, which they needed more of. That's fine. Same right there, by the
You
way.
guys had a little fuzz, so we'll have to reset you guys. You guys are buzzing a little bit there, so I have to make sure I take care of the guys who hit. Listen, you don't hit in the big leagues, your spot comes up once every 9 batters. You can't hide guys who can't hit or aren't hitting in the big leagues. Royals want to win. The Royals want to win. They have to send guys down like this, unfortunately. But that's what it is. So we'll have to go to break, and hopefully everyone else's microphones are back. Jared's working hard today.
Up first.
Geez. All right. Well, here's mine. I'm taking a page out of old Scotty Brown's book. I'm going Cincinnati batters over 8.5 Ks because they sucked yesterday. So I'm assuming they're going to strike out a lot today.
Okay.
And then Colorado, who strikes out more than anybody, is getting Reagans today. So they're over 10.5, and that gets me to plus 242.
Wow, look at you. This is a
new thing, a new toy we found.
Yeah, new category. Did not work out for me
Is
yesterday.
Colorado getting Reagans or Bubich?
Neither one.
Okay. I thought they were getting Bubich.
Well, either one.
Either way, he
Bubich
punches out
really
dudes.
Bubich has been great
Yeah.
too. So, I mean, and Colorado's playing on the road, and we all know their numbers go down on the road. So,
They do.
Maybe I overestimated. But Bubich, let's go. You're from Stanford, represent.
Boom. There you go. I'll go 330 to win 300 for the Yankees and the Guardians series to go 9 runs or more. Give me a little offense. They used some of the big boys yesterday. I got offense. Will Warren has not been great for the Yanks. I think we're going to see some scoring tonight. Kratz?
I like that. Anytime I can get the Rangers against the Athletics of Sacramento at plus 110, I'm taking it. I get it. It's Patrick Corbin. I think it's plus 110, so I'm putting down 100 to win 110.
Boom.
By the way, just sneaky, just FYI, Beto, the guy for Sacramento.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's been good. Just FYI, that's why
against the White Sox and the Rockies. Yes, he's been good.
Boom. Wow. There you go.
I'm just saying, watch out.
Kratz saying it with his chest.
Beto,
Yeah.
is it Beto?
Bybee is pitching for Cleveland, by the way, but I feel like the Yanks have seen him a million times. They saw him
Tanner
last year in
Bybee?
the playoffs. So anyway,
Bybee.
hey, parlay boost token, score a bigger payout. Go check it out. If you're hitting an MLB game tonight, betting on one, you get a bigger payout if your parlay wins. The action's on deck at BetMGM. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We will be back to slap hands. Let's slap and look at the Speedway. Bristol
I got to
Motor
go to that
Speedway
game
in August. Are you going? Did you?
It's a
figure it
Fox
out?
game. So
You don't have your schedules yet.
I
For
don't have my
August.
schedule. I'm assuming I won't be on the broadcast, so I
They
can just go
should.
as a fan.
Yeah, that looks cool.
So cool.
They're
Yeah.
going for the biggest attendance of all time. Is what the goal I think is what they want to do
Well,
for a
lot of
baseball game.
seats
I think
there.
they can get to
Yeah.
100 grand. 100 grand.
100K. Yeah. What's that whole right corner area? They're gonna
gonna do
have
a
the concert.
concert, it
Yeah.
said? Pretty awesome.
Tim McGraw. While the game's going on? No.
That would be even better.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Every walk-up song is Tim McGraw.
By the way,
live.
okay, Tim McGraw. I know we got it quick. Nick Swisher, you guys remember Nick Swisher?
Swisher-lish.
He made a record, a singing record, and one of the songs he covered was a Tim McGraw song. So every time I see Tim McGraw, I just think of Nick Swisher singing Tim McGraw. I don't know why. It's
I
just
don't know if
random.
that's good or bad.
It's bad. But Tim McGraw is a great fella. I'm just saying. I've met him a few times. He's a great fella.
Good fella.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard good things too. Kratz Hatz, what do you got?
I mean, me and Jay Hen can join the team. I mean, the Tigers spring training hat, it's fire. The extra little intricacies of the Tiger, love it.
Beauty. I agree. It's one of the best. The orange pops. I want to give a shout out to a game we didn't get to yesterday, but Max Meyer was on fire.
Hey, it cost me my lock.
Oh, yeah, he did. And here's your inside edge stat. Opponents are hitless in 22 at-bats against Max Meyer with 2 strikes.
Remember
in his
last year
two
they
starts.
held him down. They didn't want him to pitch. Remember there was a whole big controversy.
I do remember that. There's always something, but props to him. How many Ks? 14
punches.
in 6 shutout innings, 5 hits, 92 pitches. Tough to do 14 Ks and keep yourself somewhat efficient to get through 6 shutouts.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I mean, he's putting guys away pretty quickly in that 6-3 win. So good for him. We will see everyone tomorrow on FT since we do this every single weekday. And if you'd like to press a little subscribe button to us for those of you watching on YouTube or interacting with us in the chat, then maybe tomorrow will be a celebration.
And by the way, Tito Francona, it's your birthday. It's time for you to come on the show. Happy birthday,
what is
Tito.
up with that?
I don't know.
If Tito, if you like wins, if you want to win 5 in a row, call us.
True that.